Alright, think back to the time when you were in elementary school. Think of the reading part of it. What kind of books did you read? What kind of activities did you do to help improve your reading? Well, if you were like me back then, there were a lot of points during that process where you found reading to be really boring and you had a hard time concentrating while you read. Well, me and you both, according to a recent study, 70% of elementary students have a hard time concentrating while they read. Now let me go into a little more detail about my elementary school experience. Going from first grade to fourth grade, I was supposed to read 30 minutes each day. But reading to me was more like a chore. I hated doing it. I had a hard time concentrating while I read, and it was super boring for me. I ended up paying the consequence for this because I didn't read at all, and when I was in 5th grade, I had to transfer schools because my reading level was too low. I had to spend the grades after that catching up to where my reading level should have been. Although it's all caught up now, if I would have had a program that would have made reading both fun and engaging, this entire process could have been avoided. That's where Safari Story comes in.
So Safari Story is an application designed for kids ages 6 to 8 with an emphasis on reading comprehension and fluency. So it makes it really easy for parents and teachers to monitor the progress of their students' reading and to set their assignments for them, all while making it really fun and engaging for the students. So when a parent or teacher sets an assignment for their student, they'll receive a notification on their device, and when they click on that notification, they'll be brought to their story that they're supposed to be reading, and they'll have the option to record themselves reading different portions of the story that they can later send to their parents or teachers so that they can truly evaluate their progress week after week. And then at the end of each passage, they will have a comprehension quiz, and this will ask them questions on the plot and characters and other elements of the story to make sure that they're actively learning what's going on in the stories that they're reading. And finally, each of our passages works to introduce students to new vocabulary words, so they'll be added to their bank of flashcards that they can study at any time. And we also want to provide an incentive for kids, otherwise they're going to be looking an awful lot like this when they're asked to do a reading assignment. So that's why we have a real-life reward system, so kids can earn points when they complete their assignments, and they can use these points to redeem them for real-life rewards that parents and teachers set for them, and these are a few examples that we have. And finally, we have the virtual aspect, so kids can earn virtual safari animals and build up their own little animal kingdom that they can have fun and interact with.
So our TAM estimation of $50 million is based on the total number of first through third grade classrooms that first have electronic devices and would be willing to pay the $10.99 10 times over the course of their school year. For our SAM, we'll only be focusing on the first through third grade classrooms with the devices in the Chicagoland area, as expanding beyond this region would only add to the cost of marketing for our program, and we'd like to allocate as much of our costs towards the actual development of the app.
All right, and these are two of our major competitors. We have Raz Kids and Reading Rewards, and they both have similar elements, including the passages, the comprehension quizzes, and the flashcards, but the major thing that Raz Kids is lacking is an engaging reward system. They simply have a virtual system where kids earn spaceships and aliens, and we've heard firsthand from a parent whose child has this program that he is not very engaged in that reward system and he wishes it could be something better. So that's why we have the real life reward and virtual reward system, so it's kind of like the best of both worlds. And then we also, with Reading Rewards, their major thing that they're lacking is the recording feature, and we find that to be a key element in ensuring that parents and teachers can really monitor the progress of their children's reading.
So for our MVP, we wanted to test reading comprehension and fluency in our students. And to do this, we piloted our program in 5 first grade classrooms in 3 different elementary schools in the Barrington 220 district, Rose, Roslyn, and Countryside. So we put short stories and comprehension quizzes on our website, and then we had over 125 students complete these quizzes and read these stories. And then afterwards, each week we would come into the classrooms and hand out small rewards from our treasure chest to the students. After our 4-week-long program, we talked to each of the teachers and to see how the program went, and they all had nothing but positive feedback. They said that the students really enjoyed the immediate feedback and rewards, as compared to our program had a better response than another program they're using, where students read all year long, and if they meet the requirements, they'll receive a ticket to Six Flags at the end of the year. So the teachers all said that with our program, the reading comprehension and fluency dramatically increased with the students over the course of the 4 weeks.
So with our MVP, there was a couple of things that were changed. This is one of our classes that we did our MVP with. That was Rosalind. So there was a couple of things that we changed about our business. First being that we are no longer targeting all students in elementary school, but only the 1st through 3rd grade classes. We feel that this will be most effective because during our talks with the teachers, we discovered that this is the area in which students learn the most, and that way we can also be saving money for curriculum and things like that.
All right, let me set the scene for a revenue model. So to set the scene, with the districts that we work with, we're only doing 1st to 3rd grade. But in the first year that we work with each district, we're going to begin with 1st grade, and then all the years after that, we're going to expand into 2nd and 3rd grade. For the year 1, it looks really small because we just talked to the head of the elementary department for the 220 district, and she said that for us starting out, it's going to take around 6 months to do the whole process of making the sale. So we're assuming that we're going to start the process in July, and then that's going to go all the way to the end of our year 1, which is December, and then that's where they're going to cut the check for the first month. And then the rest of the months preceding after December are going to carry on into year 2. Year 2, we're going to expand just horizontally, where we expand into more districts. We expand into 3 more districts of just 1st grade. And then year 3 is where we start going from 1st to 3rd grade. So the 4 districts that we had from years 1 to 2, we're going to be expanding to 1st, 3rd grade. And then we're going to have 14 more districts of just 1st grade. After that, we're going to double pretty much going into, so the years from 1 to 3, all those will be 1st, 3rd grade. And then we're expanding 14 more districts of just 1st grade. And then after that, we're going to double that, and we're going to have 38 in total, and 14 of those are going to be 1st, 3rd grade, and then another 20 are going to be just 1st grade. We're going to expand 20 more districts, and then by then, in year 5, all 38 customers that we have are going to be grades 1 to 3, and then the other half, so in total we're going to have 76 districts. The other half of that is going to be just 1st grade. The reason being that we want 76 at the end of year 5 is because we want to target the majority of the Chicagoland area, and that's targeting about 90% of that. So you can see, especially in year 3, our revenue was a lot higher than what our net income is, because in year 3, that's when we want to make the curriculum from not just 1st grade, but 2nd and 3rd grade, so that's going to be a major cost, and then the other cost for that is going to be adding that into our app, because that's going to be a lot more information putting on the app, so that's why in year 3. And then year 4 and 5, we were told that in order to make our app the most effective, it's probably going to need to be worth $150,000 in development. So year 4 and 5, we're going to be throwing a lot of our revenue into improving the app and improving the features for that.
So on this slide, we're going to be asking, this is what we're going to be asking for. So we're going to be asking for $38,000. Now with that, that's going to be put towards development costs. We will have $690,000 in post-money valuation with a 20% equity for the investors. We have an internal IRR of 57.1% and a 9.5 money multiple.
Current plan is to achieve an exit for the investor by selling the company in year 5. This would most likely be to an educational company or competitor that is seeking our incentive-based program. And we've already been approached by Scholastic and the Barrington Area Library.
So we are a group of 5 hardworking, dedicated students, and not only do we have a strong passion for business, but we have an immense love for learning and reading. We know how important it is for students to learn to love reading at an early age, and that's why we want your help in investing in Safari Story to make this a reality. Thank you.
Can you talk about the development costs, the whole?
Yeah.
Great job, by the way, great job. But the product is the app. So
yeah.
how, break down your costs and timeline and.
Okay, yeah, so can you remember that? All right, so years 1 and 2, we're not going to have any development costs. In our startup costs, we said the app's going to cost about $50,000. We got that quote from 2 investors, and one of the developers that we talked to has connections to a startup company called Kudzu, and also he has connections to Scholastic, and he's forwarding us to them. to see if they'd be potential partners and help us develop our app. So I think that we can generate $25,000 from them just by going to present to them and talking to them and supporting us, because he said that they were very interested in looking for a program like ours to add to their platform. In year 3, that's where our development costs are going to become the most, because we have to add, in years 1 to 2, we only have first grade. And then we have to increase the curriculum, so that's going to go into a lot of development costs, because it's going to cost a lot to expand into it's going to cost a lot to expand into more grades, because it's going to be more information for the app. And then we're going to have to pay for the curriculum. I said it's going to be about $15,000, because we're going to be talking to either graduate students who are studying and creating content for elementary students. And then years 4 and 5, we're throwing, I'd say, about half of our revenue into the development costs, because we want to start out with the recording feature and the stories, but further down the road, we'd like to have quizzes where the parents and the teachers can customize that and add it. That's kind of a unique thing, but that would be too much to start out with. So we want to add those features in years 4 and 5.
Break down the 38K.
The 30, okay. So the 38,000, part of it's the 25,000. So we said
25 for the app?
Yeah. So 25 for the app, and then a liquidity cushion of $10,000, because we don't know if, so for startup companies, for EdTech startup companies, they range between $40,000 and $70,000. So in order to tinker it in year 1, we like to have $10,000 in case we have to change some features or add some features. And the other part of that is the attorney fees, so we'd like to.
When you say 25 for the app, that's just developing the app itself?
Yeah, for
not
just
the
our.
content.
No.
I gotta tell you, I think it's a really great idea, and Mike, you guys can benefit from hearing what we've done selling this program around because I think it's a similar sales pitch, but you got no income in the first 3 years, and I think you're underestimating your expenses by a big margin.
Where'd you come up with the 25,000 for the app?
It's half. So we contacted 2 developers, and they said it would probably cost around $50,000 to start it out. So I think that we can generate $25,000 from the 2 companies that we were talking to that were connected by the developers.
So I really love your MVP. That was awesome how you did that, and to see that photo of the kids was great. How much of the MVP and the experience of the Safari guys coming into the room with the physical treasure chest, opening it up, and having kids pick that out in front of each other, as opposed to this virtual gamification that you're going to have eventually. Did you get a feel from the teachers that the virtual gamification was going to be a model that would work, or did you, in essence, stumble into a really cool business of having high school kids come into first grade kids
Performance
and have this peer,
Which is very cool.
I actually thought that was like, oh my gosh, maybe you're MVP on talking to your business model, but
Sure.
tell me.
So the teachers, they did say that the students really loved when we came in and, handed out the rewards, but they also said that the most important part was the immediate reward that they got, as opposed to one that they would reach to get at the end of the year. So she said that she thought that even if we weren't the ones actually coming in the classroom, they could provide an immediate reward.
Yeah, instant.
Yeah.
Could you go back to the screen about the dragon? I don't get to finish reading the story.
That was good.
I was kidding.
So you talked about collecting this investment, Stephen, from Scholastic or somebody
Yeah.
else. Do they get an equity piece?
Yes, we would be giving them an equity piece. When we present to them, that's where we would discuss further equity. But the developer that we talked to was like number 3 in Chicago, and he was saying that both Scholastic and Kudzu were interested in adding something to our platform. Specifically, the startup called Kudzu. They give out rewards based on students' grades. So when they get good grades, they send them a reward, and they're looking for something similar to add to this. So for ours, it would almost be like a partnership because it's based on reading and giving out rewards for that.
And you have this contact at Scholastic kind of in the queue that you can go
Yeah,
talk to? If
yeah,
this goes well, or do you have to still find that app?
We have it kind of like on the side. Like all I have to do, the developer gave me, the owner of the development company, he gave me his contact information and he told me to let him know when we wanted to talk to Scholastic. But right now we want to focus on Kudzu because they're a lot more similar to what we're doing.
Would this be something that kids do in class or at home?
Both. So mainly at home because right now, especially for starting out, the districts have so much technology that they get, so they're overwhelmed. There's not a lot of programs out there that help out with fluency. So at home, that would be the teachers were saying that would be a great addition to them practicing at home for that.
So all those kids you went to visit, maybe they were reading at home?
Actually, no. So we tested two things. Roslyn, we went to Roslyn and Countryside, and there they read out loud at home. And for Rose, we tested the comprehension, so we just did quizzes, and they were doing that at school. And we found out that testing the fluency was much more effective than doing quizzes.
How did you test the fluency?
So I created my own rubric, and it was on, I don't know how specific the teachers liked it, but if you get more specific, I based it on, so best scenario for their fluency score was a 5, and that was when they had no stutters. And then the worst case scenario, none of them got this, but it was a 1, and it was 7 or more stutters.
And was it because the students recorded their reading?
Yeah, and the parents also listened to
And
them.
then they submitted that to the teacher?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that how it worked? Okay.
How did $10.99 come to be your price point?
Okay.
Based on our competitors, they were charging $110 a year per classroom, so we figured if we could do somewhat below that.
Did you look into Compass Learning at all?
We were mainly focusing on RAS kids and reading awards.
We've talked to a principal at Lions, and he told us the price point of their programs that they use right now, and he said that ours is very affordable compared to that. So we know that but it's still enough to generate enough revenue. So we know that it's like a comfortable price point for most school districts.
Do those programs, are they, I'm only familiar with Compass Learning since what my kids used it at Huff. It seems like a very comprehensive piece of software where it spans not just reading but math as well. Can you talk a little bit about these other offerings and whether schools prefer, are they comfortable buying, say, just a reading module or reading fluency module or a math module with it? Or?
So we talked to Dr. Gill, she's the head of elementary education, and she said that there are a lot of different technologies that they used, that they tried, that have failed, whatever, but she said that if it's specific enough that it targets, if we were to go into the fluency part of it, there's not a lot of stuff that involves fluency. So they said if it was that specific into fluency, they would be interested in buying it. So it wouldn't need to be spread out so much.
What could you do, 39,000 or 38,000 is fairly rich.
Yeah.
What could you do for half of that? If we said our budget appetite is 20 grand.
We would still be able to develop the app. So we'd have to narrow down what we'd be doing in the first year. We most likely, we would be only doing the recording feature because that's what the districts don't really have access to right now. So it would be specific for year 1, and most likely the districts would be really into that because they don't have anything like that out there right now.
Is it there just a recorder that every kid has an iPad right now? Can't they just like read into a recorder?
So yeah, next year, all of the elementary school classes will actually have an iPad, so they'll be able to use that recording feature. So what we're doing is we're just having that recording feature sent to us, like for our MVP, we just have that recording feature. They record it, and then, the score is being taken by someone's proctor.
So the main part about how our recording feature is different is that you can send it directly to the parent or the teacher through the app so they can monitor their child's progress.
So what I thought I heard you say, according to Dr. Hill, is there aren't many players that do what you're proposing. Not yet.
But ed tech is really competitive. It's so competitive.
15
So what keeps crossing my mind is how do you de-risk this for yourself and for the investors and defer the technology piece of it and double down on the efficacy piece of it. So if you can change student outcomes, that's unbelievable. And if you can do that through not using technology, and you can generate a lot of revenue from that, maybe not a ton, it's not terribly scalable, but you can generate enough to self-fund the technology later. And technology is always better when you do something manually first, because then you're like, oh gosh, you find out, well, here's how we would design it, as opposed to here's how we think we should design it.
Right.
So,
Why can't you build it as a website in a very basic
Last one.
structure first, without all the cost of app development? Because you have a lot and integrate, brick and mortar techniques
very good idea.
with just a simple website to keep your branding really strong.
Sure, so the main reason we decided to go with the app instead of the website is that a lot of students will be using it on their iPads at home, and not all the iPads have the 3G data. So we want them to be able to, read in the car on the go, so it's kind of a problem.
So I think what we're encouraging you though is an
Last
app
point,
will cost
Peter.
$50,000, a website will cost $500. And you can eventually get to an app, but we're thinking about bootstrapping this and how do you get it down to less than $38,000. And how do you therefore keep more equity yourself and
Grow your way.
Great job.
Great.
Well done.